Hello, everybody. You already know what it is. It's the Jose Candelario Show. I'm not playing around. I got Earl McCoy Jr. in the building. How's it going, my friend?
Doing well, doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. In the news, what do you keep up with the latest headlines? What's moving you out there?
There's a lot of things that are making me interested. It depends on what exactly you're looking for.
No, anything. Stop playing.
Ooh,
Why you?
no,
I'm a
anything.
Renaissance man, so we're gonna talk about just about anything right now.
Ooh, something that's really interesting in my world is the understanding of what is okay for a settlement and a location. Because there's different things in the news about specific segregated towns and seeing if that is an okay thing. And it reminds me back of when I went to a conference down in Texas last year. It was for as the 20th anniversary of Diversity and Inclusion Conference, and they called D&I practitioners at the time modern day civil rights leaders. And I think about it in the world of today, and as a pendulum moves, what is needed, what is dictated, and how do I show up and present in spaces? And then you get hit with some realities of what the news has to offer. So I think when I try not to watch the news as much as I want, I utilize an app called Smart News. So I limit the noise, so I can allow for more curating.
How important is that? I want to touch on that because there's a lot of noise out there, and the algorithms that are being set by social media really is going to be catered to what you like and not really give you an objective perspective on what is actually out there in the real world anymore. Influencing you to, basically like egging you on.
Facts.
Versus educating you. In regards to like settlement, like I have an issue that me and my wife talk about a lot, which is shopping, right? There's a discrepancies in the Walmarts, okay? Now, when I go to Walmart, Fox and Road, which is the bigger super center, it's really nice. Prices are reasonable. But when I hit that Walmart up in Wallingford, prices are different. The selection, I go down that cereal aisle and I'm like a kid in the candy store because they have selection. There is a huge discrepancy between the Foxen and Wallingford. Now, is that due to location and settlement? I'm asking.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I think it goes into the aspect of drivability. There's also something that has in different locations about food deserts and certain food locations that are in particular environments.
We can't talk about that because if you go to a Key Foods in the Hill, the price is there. It feels like I'm going to a corner store. I feel like these are bodega prices.
100%.
In a supermarket, but continue.
No, I totally agree. It's definitely intentional and on purpose. And the interesting part of it all is different communities and enter the different dimensions of diversity that we all have to bring into the space. When multiple people of different dimensions enter a space, they are treated differently, and the options could be geared towards the perspective of what a community wants and what a community needs, versus what's going to be beneficial for this subsection of a community.
I will agree. I will say the drivability thing is a big one because I can easily drive to Wallingford and spend a little bit more in gas, but feel like on the other end I'm getting better quality products on top of that. I mean, the shelf life of products and now that part of the state is like almost like 10 days more what I'm gonna get, and also just the overall variety. I mean, it's scary.
Agreed.
It's scary. And then compared to Key Foods, and then we're gonna compare it to a Stop and Shop on Whaley Avenue. I don't know if you've ever been in there, but Stop and Shop Whaley Avenue, I can't afford to shop there. I think Stop and Shop Whaley Ave and Whole Foods in Milford are the same price range.
Jeez. I've been to Whole Foods in Milford one time. or 2 times because I love their cinnamon buns. That's my guilty pleasure.
Uh-oh.
And that's the only thing I go there for, just the cinnamon buns, right? I never shopped at the Stop and Shop on Whaley, so I have no context for that one. But I know that my grandfather used to live on Diamond Street, so it's right down the street from Whaley, so I know my family's probably been there for generations. So it's interesting.
But we talk about now economics. Do you think it's made like that to keep us economically disenfranchised because we are paying exorbitant amounts of our, very little income to just basic necessities?
I would have to say yes, and I would say yes because I took a class in college. I double majored in political science and communication, and one of my favorite classes was propaganda. And utilizing propaganda and conversation about how to manipulate the masses into putting the idea into your head, or the marketing strategies of, you need this. This is something for you. This is a quick opportunity to sustain yourself. And then when that comes into the different locations and shops, and especially enter the economic times of today, do I have enough to go here, or do I stretch myself and lose opportunities, but I know the quality's better over here? So now you're making real life decisions when it comes into a basic hierarchy of needs, which is just food, shelter, understanding that all plays in a part of it. So even though the opportunity is for individuals to go to a different location that would be better suited for them, but are you comfortable going there? Is it directly connected to your own being going over there? Do you have the mental capacity of understanding that you can go over there? Or are you always just going to be situated and understood of, this is where you belong, so stay?
You're touching on that imposter syndrome that we had a conversation on earlier, right? Do I belong? It's funny because when I go out to Big Y, up in Seymour, Derby, whatever,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm intruding on another man's land. But thank God for my wife. She's like, we belong here. We are Big Y people. And for her to say that and me go, you sure? Because their stuff is good.
Really good, really good. Yes, yes. And I think to add on to that, it's the generational mindset of, this is what my family's always been to, or this is what I've been used to or accustomed to. And also when people level up, or they change in any type of way, or they separate and go against the grain of their known environment.
So then you're a sellout.
Can I go? Do I go? And other people say, I need you to stay where I know you to be. And then it turns into an opportunity of, you can go here. You can level up for your family and for your life. But that community ties in, and that community or your inter-friend connection disallows that opportunity to move forward.
There's we're talking about like a psychological ideology in which people feel safe when you are in a certain box, because then they don't have to figure you out. But as soon as you step out of that box, you make people feel uncomfortable just naturally. I mean, this is not, probably has a little bit to do with, the colonization and where we were from and the trauma. But I think that this is a Neanderthal instinct
100%.
that we still, 200,000 years are now trying to break out of. But I just wanted to just agree with you that yes, if you're in the box, you're safe. And as soon as you get out that box, you're not safe. What do you tell the individuals to get out that box and be okay with that?
I think it's first understanding the agency of you. And agency is the opportunity to say, wherever you are, you have a choice. You may not like your options, but no matter what you choose, you're still choosing it. So understand the individual that you have to become, or to put in different contingencies, armors, or those breaks and pauses that gives you an opportunity to succeed in that selling, whatever that is, right? And also understand that most times in most recent human history, most of our problems are more psychological than physical. But our bodies are made to maintain through physical, not psychological. So that subsection, that shift, what are you doing to make sure your body is taken care of, but also your mind is taken care of? Because now both of these, even though they're the same, they need separate environments, energies, opportunities, and just maintenance to just continue to move forward in wherever direction you want to go.
The science behind it is that each part of your body has its own little brain chemistry, your heart, your stomach. And so you have to distinguish the self-perseverance, right? Self-preservation, which is what the body wants to do. And then it feeds the mind, right? There's not enough for everybody.
No.
Get enough for yourself. Then it goes into this, even now it bleeds into not only physical items, money, but knowledge, right? And we talked a little bit about gatekeeping. Let's just call it what it is. And the sharing of knowledge. People treat knowledge almost just as precious as food now.
And monetize it, because there's different levels in growth. And there's a new study that's coming out and new information that comes out in articles that are talking about AI may or is replacing entry-level jobs.
It is. When I'm going to say may, it is.
So students now graduating that aren't having opportunities to have entry-level positions, what are you going to do, especially with all these loans? And now if you don't get that knowledge, opportunity, and exposure, how are you going to maintain yourself while in addition to entering the old term of the American dream, or your dream of the house, the money, the family, the car, basic needs of the American way, for lack of a better term. So, and then as you level up, less knowledge is shared, but more knowledge is required.
We talk about that, and we notice that at first when you're doing entry-level jobs, and you sometimes we do it to ourselves. We make ourselves smaller, right, in order to gain access to areas. And then the information comes, and people always want to be a big brother, take you under their wing, hook you up with the thing, help you grow. But then when you get to a certain level, it becomes very important to have a circle of individuals that you can trust and share information with, that is more of an exchange of ideas, but and not a feeding of the self, to make one feel better or to one gain an advantage over something else. I think we'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I was recently part of a conversation that was called Decoded, and it was talking about the modern age man of today. And that's something I'm really passionate about, and my dad has a fatherhood group about it. And being a 30-year-old heterosexual straight male, not married and with no kids, and also continuing being ambitious and climbing the ladder, everything I do is for my family, and my family's not even here. So I maintain a level of professionalism, personality, and then also how I move and how I interact is very on purpose, because I have respect for myself, which extends to whoever I'm in the environment with. And when that comes into play in the broader scheme of things, how am I being able to connect with people purposefully of where I am and where I want to go? And that's hard in the inner city circle, or just circles in general. And we were talking about this a little bit, about how different subsections of different minority groups, and you want to help the community, help the individuals that look like you. But how am I going to help somebody when they're not ready to receive and have me be there to pull along or feel like a sellout, or they only see the social media side and all the great pictures and all the great things, but they don't see the crying, the tears, the late nights, the late nights and early mornings, and the conversations that way.
And the therapy sessions.
And the therapy sessions. So to loop it all back, I was in a decoded conversation. Then after, we sat in a circle and we just talked. Great ideas were shared. No one was trying to one-up one another. I did barely a little talking in a space while everybody else was really sharing. And I shared this with them, so it's okay to share out loud, is in different circles, especially me being a visibly younger individual, but also having a vast knowledge pool, and I have a voice and opinion to share, that sometimes in different environments, especially in circle conversations or just in big, broader meeting conversations, individuals will still defer to more seasoned looking individuals first before they have a more seasoned, younger looking individual second or third. And I pointed that out in the conversation, and they didn't realize what they were doing.
No, a lot of this stuff is unconscious. And I've noticed that over time, especially where I'm at in my journey from now on, that I don't try to educate people on their mishaps. I just allow them to be where they're at. Because it's very important for me to just be an objective person. And sometimes people just want to be listened to. And that's what I've learned the most. I just wanted to touch a little bit on one-upmanship, because it is a very toxic behavior. It's a game that we learn in improv and in theater, and it's something that we do as a joke. And it creates some of the most hilarious scenarios and things that people watch from afar. But social media does not help it when they just say, I go somewhere. I'm an avid traveler. I like to travel. I'd rather be broke and collect bottles for a couple of weeks and travel my butt off, because again, you don't see the background. You know, I'm collecting bottles and cans so I can afford my trip, you know, and
that's
go.
real.
But as soon as I bump into somebody, they want to talk about their trip or where they've been. And it's like, well, I didn't go on my trip. You know, I didn't share to now be in this conversation of one-upmanship. How can one get past it, or how can one be conscious or aware that when they're going to speak, they're entering a competitive type of conversation?
I was having this conversation probably a couple months ago. I was like 6 or 4 months ago, and I was either in a panel conversation or I was listening into a conversation, and when one person said something, another person had to top it. And then it went into like a measuring contest of, this is everything that I've done on top of everything that you've done. And then you're trying to airtime or viability or how many people are gonna come see me. And I think that starts with self first and I think I shared this with the group that I just did trainings with, of the one that got most abused is usually the loudest voice in the room. And when your voice is silenced for so long, or you're repressed for so long, or people don't see you or validate you or enter all the things that you have been going through to that certain moment in time to have that conversation, I think you have to first check yourself to know what is happening. And the person on the receiving end, know that you're valid and confident no matter what you share. And if somebody tries to one-up you, that's a reflection of them, not a reflection of you. And I can only control my own feelings, thoughts, tempers, emotions in a conversation. And I get nothing on talking over you, dismantling somebody else in a conversation, throwing off everything that I have done and continue to do. Because for me, I don't share my different accolades, conversations, or things that I'm doing until they're finished. I don't really do it beforehand, because beforehand there's many conversations that people try to say or try to ask me to do or try to be a part of. And I rather you know about it curate my story and my narrative that I want to share about my exposure and my experience, but also give some knowledge and open and conversation to the different individuals that helped me to get there and be a part of it. Because it's not just me, it's about everybody else. And I think therapy is a great way to expose yourself to that, because once you get out of your narrow focus of all the things that happened to you until this point to get to where you need to be or where you are, then that's something important. But also on the same side, having an ego is a survival mechanism as you continue to grow in this space. Because a lot of individuals will try to repress or dim your light. So I think it comes into that discernment of understanding when and where this is needed and when and where this is not. And the delicate dance and the balance of it all. So if I'm in a conversation in which I feel that innate pull of I need to share more because I'm not giving myself the best benefit because everybody else is sharing all these different things. And you know what, let me tell you about what I did, or hey, let me show you about all the stuff that I did. Now I'm disqualifying myself from that conversation. And I think sometimes, and I'm trying to pivot into this of, you know, when people go to network events, everybody has a name tag.
Yeah.
I'd rather be somebody that's worth knowing than well known. So being in the space, I don't want to be an individual that always has a name tag. I want to be in the space. Some people know me and a lot of people don't, but it's still those genuine connections. But yeah, I can still move in whatever space that I want. And then people start reacting and coming up to me and asking me questions. And I also do the same, especially when it's needed and targeted, or I feel that genuine connection or that vibe. Like, hey, this is somebody I can really start to learn from, have conversations with, and also add a new layer to the mat that I didn't know existed yet. So I think peeling back, understanding that you aren't all that, but you are at the same time.
It's a lot to be said about having an air of mystery and how enticing that is. I mean, even if you're single, even if you're married, if you're walking into a room, I tend to now enjoy myself now more because I haven't been out in years, walking into a room and not being known by, you know, everyone. Now, am I known by the organizers and, you know, some people, yeah. But like you, it's an air of mystery. Like, who is this guy? He carries himself pretty well. He's dressing very nicely. I mean, I've noticed the power of dressing. And also just not jumping into every conversation and not jumping at every person and just playing the back wall. And so that does says a lot. And then it does make people then curious of who you are. So I just wanted to, in all that, just to say I concur with the whole thing.
I know, I'm an academic, so once I get rolling.
No, I'm with you, I'm with you. Earlier you did say something about messaging, right? And how the control of messaging works in various communications and various art forms such as rap music. Recently, Benzino has been releasing music at 60 years old, but in the style of trap music. And it's one thing that I'm glad that a man is still doing his art form, you know, at that age, still rapping. But what he's rapping about does slightly concern me as a 60-year-old because I would rather be talking about finding good healthcare coverage and a good, you know, podiatrist versus perpetuating a certain part of our culture that might be popular, right? That we're talking about popularity versus, so popularity versus, you know, quality of life. Do you see what do you think where hip hop plays a role in our society? Do you think there's still room for the trap music, for the experience of hip hop? Because that's how hip hop was first come about, right? Talking about our economic status. So we're talking about the 70s, black and brown people, Sugar Hill Gang, rapping about their environment. But as we know, our environments have changed over time. And fewer of us are exposed to that type of environment and really don't have any connection to it. Do you feel it's still okay for rappers to talk about that life, knowing now that it's really not as lucrative as it is?
I think it goes back into our earlier point of this is all I've known and this is what I do. So changing that perspective is hard. And I was having this conversation in tandem with a close friend of mine, and it was the pathways and avenues that minorities have in this country. And the pathways and avenues are music, dance, sports, or the graveyard. And that has been said over generations in time, and these are the 4 ways in which we are accepted in certain avenues, in certain ways, or the easier pathways moving forward. And there's the historical quote of how it's said, but I'm not going to say it on air. And I think when it comes into those pathways, staying in that lane allows me a trajectory forward of understanding where this could potentially take me. And the money, the mindset, the lifestyle and understanding that is shown, especially blame social media for that perspective as well. And the difference in the mindset shift that we need, and we as a community need, is that I rather own the team than be a player. Both are hard. One has a quicker longevity, one has a quicker burnout, you all have these different players or opportunities. And there are a certain smaller percentage of individuals that make it to this point. And I think for so long, we felt and understood, and I even felt like this when I was younger, that I need to be this athlete, rapper, doctor, lawyer, enter here to make it. But there's so many different ways that I've never thought of, got exposed to, or had generational understanding that this is a pathway forward. And I think that's hard. So when you're doing a lot of things for the community, and this is something that you're passionate about and you love and you're curating it, there was a female rapper that said this recently, and I don't know which one, said, I could sing or rap about something else, but that's not going to sell. This will, because this is what's been indoctrinated in our communities of this is what I want to hear, this is what I want to know, and this is what I want to do. And I was playing basketball probably 2 months ago, and I played a different playlist than I usually do versus just the background sounds of usual hip hop, rap, trap, that music plays of the warm-up playlist. And one of my good friends said, hey, can you turn that soft stuff off? And I'm like, in my mind, who wants to listen to enter terms stuff here all the time, right? There's points and there's times, but there's also opportunities to expose yourself to something new. Have new creative pathways. This is what you're used to. However, let's endeavor this way, or be a multi-entrepreneurial mindset of this is a main avenue of money, but how am I going to get these sub or tertiary opportunities or lines of income, right? So I think that's something that we as a community don't have that best pathway forward, but I think that is something that I think is important to move that pendulum forward and to go back into the individual that sits deep making that. And I think it's just generational, and it's hard to break that.
There's a recent study that, yet again, these younger people, I mean, and you're probably not young people age group. We're talking about the Gen Zers.
I'm on the cup.
You're the upper echelons of this. I'm not going to say you're 18 because life don't crack, but brother, it's not that much of a compliment. Oh, you could go for an 18-year-old, which is
no, I'm
super jealous. I'm super
good.
jealous.
I appreciate that, and I accept that.
If it wasn't for the way you dress. If you had a hoodie on, I'd be like, you're 18.
Yeah, no, and if I cut this off, I look younger, so I understand. Yeah.
But they say that 90, like, no, not 90, but a good percentage, high percentage in the 70 percentile of these Gen Zers get all their cooking recipes from TikTok. These are the same generation that get their health advice from TikTok. They get their gym advice from TikTok. How damaging is this, or beneficial is it? I mean, I don't want to judge. It can go both ways. Then picking up a book and reading for yourself, founded knowledge base, like you earlier said, there's going to be, you read journals. Sounds like you read medical journals and business journals. So you're like reading vetted information versus influencer knowledge.
If you ever want to hide a secret, write it down and put it in a book. Age-old tale. Leaders or readers, note takers are usually the ones that have something to say. And I try to be an avid reader, even audiobooks, even though there's a community that says audiobooks aren't actual readers. So I understand that. So I do have a library chase at home of the different books that I've read or continuing reading or pick up for different parts of the conversation. And I think that is beneficially damaging. I love to have access to information at a quick, but also you need to listen to 3 to 4 different sources to curate your own opinion of something, and you should. But sometimes you hear it one time and that's it, and that's fact. This is the information. I'm sold, right? And I do think that is hard. And in the education space, they talk about, are you writing something or is AI writing something? And the next leaders that are coming up, and we talked about this when I was in HR, about the next person to take your job isn't an AI. It's a person utilizing AI to cut down on the operational time that used to take weeks, hours, and days, that could take a shorter amount of time to get exactly the influence of time. And that information that you make is a good foundational start. But then apply your knowledge, your information, your expertise, and your time to get a more curated picture of, this is exactly what is needed. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Let me pull in some different resources, and you just subcategorize as scholarly resources or different subtests to try to make that easier for you. And then cross-reference your work. Try to make sure that it made sense and how you want it to be. I don't think AI is going to be the end-all be-all, and there's a new study that says AI may not be as reliable.
Oh, no. Studies are showing right now, I mean, a couple of articles that I've read, because like you, I like to corroborate my information. And this aspect was for coders, people that are coding, they're using AI to code. Actually, it's taking them more time to complete a project using AI as if they were have done it from scratch themselves.
Yes.
So they're finding that we're not at the point of generative AI, which is what technically is what we're expecting AI to be at this point. AI right now is in a 5th generation, 5.5 maybe, but we're not going to get generative AI for, they assumed it was going to be like by next year, but I still think it's going to be 2 or 3 years off before we can get to generative AI where it can really speed up those high level. Like when we're talking about replacing entry level, yes. If you need to write a letter, you need to do basic web browsing. That's what ChatGPT really is, and all these is a fancy web browser.
100%.
Nothing more than that.
No.
It's not, and you know better than to be, find reliable sources on the web, because everything is manipulated. Even
100%.
Even Wikipedia is, can be hacked and taken over by an author, and history can be rewritten in a drop of a dime. So with that said, I can see what you're saying, that maybe the higher level jobs, not so much yet. I will say in about 4 years, maybe, when our processors are faster. We have that incarnation of generative AI where that it really can actually almost like feel its way through something, which is what we have the advantage of now. We can actually scrapulate and feel our way through a project or an idea that chat cannot do. Well, can chat go out there and refill your fridge? Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
It will.
Yeah.
It can. It can.
Yeah.
It can look in your fridge and just done. And you open your door and be like, wow, I didn't know I ran out of celery. So that can happen now. But I think there's still a certain level of a person needs to value themselves and their knowledge base and their affinity to go and gather information on their own. And I think that's what really speaks to this younger generation is go and get it yourself. I mean, I spend, thanks to my ADHD, I'm up in the 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning researching something that I didn't have nothing to
You had the itch.
I got the itch. I know everything about algae and and its curative forces for no reason, you know. But you got to want stuff for yourself. I think that's something to be said. Tell me about the future of DEI under this administration, and do you feel? I mean, you are. Fortunately for you, you work in an institution that will not back down, and they're still making it a priority. But do you see these leaders, these civil rights leaders, in danger?
I think the whole world is in danger. And I think this is the first part in human history, in American history, I'll say, and this is my own personal opinion, that everybody is affected by something. And America has only been unified through war. But why can't we be unified by social concerns? And social concerns of gas prices, food prices, the housing market, quality of life and way of everything that's going in. So I think America, or we as Americans, have a suitable diagnosis of amnesia, because and it's uncurable in some instances, that we're so quick to forget what happened just yesterday. And I think as a storyteller myself, and as a curator of space, then also as a brave space protector, I don't like saying safe spaces, just safe spaces are relative to the individual, but a brave space curator, and also an individual that prides in the connectivity of the community and also loves to have dialogue, not conversation. I think the continuation of what is needed and necessary for today is ever changing. The pendulum changes every half decade or so with new names, terminologies, or information. And I do think related to what is needed and necessary is the heart work, which is the hard work. And people inherently don't like the finger or the spotlight pointed at them. So I think related to what is needed today is to remind the spotlight is on all of us. And we, as a people, should have these what do they say, these rights and privileges that are universally known for all. And I think sometimes reminding us as a people is so important. So I do think that some organizations in some places still are utilizing the words. I know there was a New York article that published 200 words that the administration said that these are words that we should not use, and have these different conversations. I do think that there are some organizations that are loud and proud and saying that they're not going to back down, and shout out to them, love everything that they do. There's some organizations that are taking the middle ground of saying, we see where the pendulum and the tide are going. Let's make these contingency plans to protect our people and also protect the environments of what we're interconnected to. And then there's these other organizations that could not wait to get rid, because it was just, it was fresh paint on the wall that wasn't even dried, that they just did a permanent paint job over, and it's like it never existed ever before. So as an individual in the space, I am proud to A, have a job, and B, be in a place in which creativity comes in, then also an ability to understand what is needed for the protection of the different organizations that I'm in. That's when we talk about knowing what you have chosen, and also understanding the guidelines of policies and procedures in which you subscribe to, go into every day. And then in addition to that, understanding the most important aspect of you and putting you back in the equation. You matter, so what are you going to do in this time of understanding to set yourself up for the future? Because everything changes. Nothing in life is ever permanent. So what are you, as an individual, setting yourself up, not just for the scary times of today, but thinking, okay, cool. This may be tough. This may be great. This sucks. What are you going to do with that? And what are you going to do with that for the benefit of the future you? Because the current you can only help the future you. So personally, I pay no never mind to a lot of the things that are going on, because they, in my particular Black and brown community, they've been trying to ostracize, alienate, castrate, kill, enter all the different beautiful terminologies in a different way of everything. But still I rise and still I stand. And this is just another Tuesday or Wednesday that happened, so I don't have any strong reaction towards it. I'm not one side or the other side. I just know where I am and how I stand and how I'm going to continue to move forward. There was a reel that I watched today, which I really liked, and it talked about how we think so much about how we need to change the system. But the system is working optimal levels, and we hear this all the time. So if I can't change the system, then I try to be a part of a higher position in the system to try to change the system. Or I try to go in another way to protect a certain percentage or subsection of the system. In all those equations, you never think about who you are now being a part of the manufacture of that system and the things that you have to protect in order to make the changes you need. So instead of doing that, even though I'm a part of the system, I understand that this is only a portion of who I am. So outside of that, when we talk about this, my time, what I want and how I want it to be, how do I speak? How do I maintain? How do I show up in the different communities? On purpose, authentic, and ready to go. And just having that perspective and separation gives me back my own power that I so easily given away for whatever reason, because I wasn't told or understood that. And some of the best things, and I don't dream about work, I don't dream about labor, right? So this is just something to maintain a certain lifestyle that afforded me different things, but also at the same time, what I stand for and who I am gives visibility to others and the opportunity of, I didn't know I could. So I think, staying where you are, having the opportunity to move, and understanding that in my particular faith, you are called, you are not shown. So continue to move by faith and not by sight. And I think that is the most important thing for me as I continue to move in this space.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
For your time. These conversations are supposed to only be like 10 minutes. So it's a joke. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I don't know what else to say. I think we covered a lot. I want you to come back in a couple of more months, and
absolutely.
We can continue this conversation, and there'll be probably more things to talk about because the information in journals are being written and published every day, and the thoughts and philosophies are changing, ever evolving, and for a community that is a benefit. So again, thank you very much for your time.
Appreciate it.
Earl McCoy Jr. Just as good as the senior. Maybe twice as good.
Nah,
no,
Dad's always number one. Dad's always number one.
With that said, it's the Jose Candelario Show. Thank you guys for your time. And Jesus, I hope everyone got what I got out of it. Till next time.